Hello everybody and welcome back to another Adventure Mode tutorial Let's Play. As I said in episode 2, we would continue this party, and we would continue adventuring to our destination in the Great Northeast. But this band of misfits is getting a little bit big, so let's do a recap. We are accompanied by a Thomos Fist Bowman, who is a scaly humanoid with large mandibles, ivory scales that are large and overlapping. This night creature was first created by the human necromancer Thonom in Lettershock after horrible experiments on the human Allah in Knife Showered in the year 73. They are musical, have high willpower and disdain hard work, and value fairness and have good focus but recover from injuries slowly. They are armed with an iron bow and bronze arrows and are fully clothed. Alongside of them, we have a slightly different creature. This is Zebshos. Zebshos is a Eddie's Fist, which sounds kind of like an Iron Maiden mascot. An Eddie's Fist is a small feathered humanoid with a long swinging trunk. Its dark olive feathers are fluffed out, and this was also created by a necromancer. This necromancer was Eddie, who also was in Lettershock. And lastly, we have Lurit, our human companion who joined us in the first episode. Lurit is, well, values skill, disdains competition, is frail and cheerful, and has good spatial sense, and is a competent lasher and an adequate fighter. Since we're sitting here by our campfire, I think it's time for us to begin traveling again and continue heading east. However, I think this episode's going to be a bit of a training montage as, well, if you actually look at my skills, yes, I'm a skilled fighter, but if we look at our other skills outside of combat, well, we're a little bit lacking. So we're going to go work on swimming a little bit, we're going to go work on climbing a little bit, and we're going to try and train up that wrestling a little bit. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit Shift T on the keyboard and jump us up to the overworld. And then I'm going to hit capital M, and then I'm going to hit M to pop up the map. Now down here we can see that there's the ocean, which is nice and clear. It is a tropical ocean, so it shouldn't be the worst. In between us and the ocean, there is also this, which was popped up, rumored a couple of times. This is the hiding place of an Eton. There's 4 of us. I'd be willing to bet that we could take it. However, in order to be able to confidently do something like that, I think we should be a little bit closer to the Eton. It's also noting that we're starting to discover the locations of human places across the water. And as always, if you would like a copy of the save file at the end of this episode, it will be available in the description of this video. As I'm traveling, I've also noticed this. This is a goblin camp called Fangdoom. Fangdoom is another location that we were told that we could possibly destroy in rumors back in the initial tavern. Might be something to journey back to for a little bit of extra experience today. Now, because we are traveling to the ocean, we're going to need a source of food, as well as water. Now, even though we are playing as a goblin once again, and we don't need food, capital N, we do still need to pretend like that's something we do need access to, as a goblin is benefited mentally from acquiring food. However, they don't actually need it. But it's a good time to practice, because, when you're learning a new mode, or taking the time to experience a new mode, you might as well get used to mechanics that you're going to need for just about every character type. We are now traveling into another town, and we're going to check our inventory, just to take stock of what we actually have. We do still, of course, have our pet hedgehog, and of course, a gem. And we have the 4 brain pieces. And, well, it looks like we are out of water currently, so we should probably go fill up our water skin. Something else that I'm looking for in this human town is I'm looking for a mount. I think we could use a pack mule. Looks like they're growing a lot of ratweed here. I'm sure we'll catch more rumors as we travel through. It seems that our traveling companions are becoming friends as well. Obes is speaking with Lurit and talking about how they long live the cause and it's good to see you, so they seem to be getting along just fine. You'll love to see it, frankly. New friends in the making. It's very much a farming town, not too much going on here, very much a sleepy village. That doesn't mean that we won't get lucky and find some livestock in the region. And also, to zoom in and zoom out, I'm using the bracket keys right above Enter on the keyboard. Just tap them to zoom in and zoom out. Square brackets. Also, if you hold down Control on the mouse and scroll the mouse wheel, that will have the same effect. This town might actually be too small to have a steady supply of food in this time of year. There are several plants that are edible around here that I'm seeing. However, without it being in season, well, it's not like we're going to get strawberries. At the very least, this is an opportunity to refill our water, as they do have a water supply. So we are going to travel in the overworld, go over to the water supply, run over here to the right until we get to the river, and walk up to the river. But this is actually serving a double purpose. Now, we already have some skill in swimming. However, we're going to talk about learning how to swim for a second here. Swimming is a very important thing for every adventurer to do, and something that you should at some point take the time to learn. So if you open up your character sheet by pressing Z on the keyboard or clicking the button down here, and you go to your skills and you go to other skills, you can actually check your swimming skill. We started off with a few points in swimming. I did this intentionally. However, if you would like to learn the basics of swimming with 0 skill, find yourself a little river like this. And I would also recommend taking your armor off. However, that's optional. Then what you're going to do is you're going to press J on the keyboard or click on the jump button down here. And then select right on the edge of the water. This is going to throw yourself into the water, and then you're going to tap the arrow keys to move yourself directly towards the shore and press the button again. Now, as you can see, this is quite easy for me. If you are brand new at swimming, you might see the dwarf or character that you're playing as flounder a little bit first. This is a sign of drowning. You may want to put down a hard save if you're worried about it before you begin this process. The next thing I would like to draw your attention to is press M on the keyboard for movement options, or click on the movement options button down here. Now there's this down at the bottom, which I would like to draw your attention to. Swimming preference. When possible, when necessary. When you have some skill in swimming, you might as well set this to when possible, so that when you are moving around with the mouse or the keyboard, your character will automatically walk into the water when you click on it. When necessary means you have to force them into the water. So let's leave that on when possible and move towards the water. And as you can see, we just move directly in and I can just walk across. Let's do this with the mouse for a little bit of added clarity. There you go. And just keep doing this. Something that's also worth checking is while you're in the water, hit this button. If this is blinking blue and it says that you are drowning, it means that you are going to die soon. However, because we already have some skill in swimming, we're not drowning. So I can just go back and forth. So pardon me while we get some epic training montage music. If you open up your character's status screen, you can actually check your swimming skill. You can do this by going over to other skills. As you can see, we are an adequate swimmer, meaning this won't be that hard for us to start. However, our companions here are not adequate swimmers, so I'm actually going to walk them down this way and ask them to wait here, just so that none of them jump in and accidentally drown themselves. So if I go into the demand or make an order, I can ask them to wait here. As you can see, she wants to drown herself, so we might as well ask her to wait here. Now, while they will wait here, they are going to continue being our party members. It's not like we're asking them to stop being our party members. I'm just asking them nicely to not drown in the water. Because these are just traveling buddies and not full party members, I can't take control over them and train them consistently, so I have 0 faith in them being able to teach themselves to swim. Now, this is why you should save frequently and save often while doing this. Because, well, that. I have saved 4 times during this, so I'm just going to jump back to a save file. Now, I kind of knew that this was going to happen eventually because I'd seen everything freezing and I knew it was getting later in the day. But just keep in mind, if you are training swimming, that can happen if you're in an area where it's been freezing recently. Now that I've reloaded the save, I'm going to walk to the edge of the river, and I'm going to press capital Z, and then I'm going to wait for 1 hour. As you can see, dawn has hit, and the water hasn't quite frozen just yet, but it will very soon. We've made it all the way up to expert swimmer. I think that's good for the day. Let's wait for another hour and see if the water freezes. Ah, there we go. That's what got us last time. Let's head over to the local tavern and see if we can talk with the locals. We jump up to the overworld, and we move over to this little building up here in the top left, indicated with the tiny little white icon. Let's crash for the night. But oh no, where are my companions? Well, I guess I should go back and get them. Guys? There they are. right where I told them to stay. Now, you can very easily, whenever you have companions, just simply ask them to stay somewhere for a while. Maybe you're going somewhere very dangerous and they happen to be a very small companion, somebody who's very weak. Well, this is an opportunity for you to ask your companions to simply stay far away and not die. It's actually not the worst idea, depending on where you're headed. So now that we've asked them all to follow us and they're doing their task correctly, let's jump up and head to the tavern. It seems like our adventurer needs to sleep anyway. Now that we've dropped out of fast travel right next to the tavern, I'm going to just simply walk over to it once I find it. It's actually proving rather difficult because it's dark out. So, rather than finding the tavern, we'll just sleep in the middle of the road. Seems like we were able to hit early morning, so the sun should be back up and our line of sight should be back to normal. There's the tavern. Nice and easy to spot here. Let's wander inside and see what's going on. Upon wandering in, we can spot a sterling silver throne. Well, that's fancy. Wandering a little further down, it's a bit sparse in here. Not too much going on, but there is a fancy leather robe, as well as some bags over here in the corner. Inside of the bags are some nice weaponry, including an iron whip, and a lot of clothing I can't use. There's also some axes, and some boots I can't use. As well as some bolts. Those are pretty nice. I do have some bolts, but they're not the nicest, and they're also not in one stack. So I'm actually just going to drop my bolts. We're going to pick up some of these nicer bolts. 25. Also, I misread. Those are actually arrows, not bolts. Do they actually have bolts? Or is it just arrows that we're stuck with? There's iron arrows right there. Bronze arrows, iron arrows. Yeah, it might actually just be arrows. Oh, there we go. Bronze bolts, 25. Perfect. If I press I on the keyboard, we can actually look at these bolts. As you can see, they have plenty of decorations, so let's see exactly what those are. These are bronze bolts decorated with finely crafted alpaca bone and adorned with hanging rings of finely crafted tiger iron and finely crafted wild boar hoof. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to click this button and select put this item in a container and then select my quiver. Now that they're in my quiver and no longer in my hand, we are going to wander over to this elderly gentleman here in the corner. In fact, they are a lord. I'm going to greet the listener and they say, hello, it is good to see you. Praise be to Josie. And I apparently know who they are before having spoken with them. Since I apparently know who they are, I'm going to ask about, or I'm going to make a flattering remark, and it bounced off poorly. They say, spare me the compliments, so now they're impatient with me. Well, I'm going to ask about the listener's family, and they say they have no family to speak of, which makes me wonder how they became lord. I'm going to ask about the listener's profession, and they said they were a papermaker for 34 years of their life. So they are a lord papermaker. I'm going to ask about somebody. I'm going to ask about them. Tunic Ardent Lances. They say, I am lord. I sought fortune and glory by offering my skill at arms for 2 of my years. Oh, so you were a soldier, a lasher, and you're also holding a carving knife. And by offering your skill to the place that you live, you were given a rank. Well, that's interesting. Let's inquire about any troubles. They say that they've got beasts. I wonder if they're going to tell me about this Eton. A beast from the wilds is harassing our people. The creature is Ata, wheeled round the wolf. Ah, this is the character that our human adventuring companion was speaking of. And ask for the whereabouts of them. And they say, deep underground or on the move. Can't be sure. Which is a damn shame. I really wish that they had more of an idea of where this wolf was. Let's ask about any other troubles. And they say, a beast from the wilds has been harassing our people. Ruthless depth is in the Lost Plains. Seek this place if you hunt the giant hyena. Watchful target. This vile fiend murdered Ethro, fog sect. I wonder if they could tell us exactly where this creature is. The Lord says that Ruthless Depth is far to the east, and we receive a detailed description. Let's see if we can see it. All the way to the east, they say. While I can spot many lairs on this map, as well as many camps, I'm not actually seeing the location of this creature, no matter how far to the east I look. But still, it's good information all the same. Since he's impatient with me, I'm going to try to calm the listener. And they say they must take their leaves. And that's fine. Grab a rake. I think it's time for this adventuring party to head out anyway. We're gonna go try and hunt an Eton. I take a snack of some sturgeon brain before we head out. We're gonna head north. While we did hear rumors about the Eton previously, we haven't actually attempted to go after it yet. So this could either go great or it could go horribly south. Because this is common knowledge to people from where we're from, this is something that we just have information about. So we do know that this cave is like right here, so let's go just south of it. We're now going to drop out. So usually when you are assaulting a creature like an Eton, you're gonna wanna pull your weapons out to begin with before you even start. Goal for today is to still find ourselves a mount and train some climbing, but you know, you do need some distractions from time to time. What's the point of adventuring without a little bit of glory? If you're playing as a hero and you have your compass, if you actually look at this and hover over these different locations, it'll give you a little tooltip as to what it is. So to the west, we have a goblin camp. And to the north, we have the lair of Tulip Quests, a short walk to the north. So let's go a short walk to the north and see if we can find Tulip Quests. The Eton. First, we'll get a notification that a cave has been spotted, or a lair has been discovered. And then it's going to be a matter of finding the creature within its lair. Checking our movement speed, we are at walking speed, but we are out walking our companions here, so let's let them catch up. Maybe I should open up the movement speed options and slow down to a stroll instead of walking, so our friends can keep up. Oh, look at this. The hole in the ground. And inside of the hole in the ground is a skeleton. Alu's skeleton. We also have Umil's skeleton. Fortunately, this doesn't seem to be bothering me too much. We do have some items here. They all appear to be large, though. There's a linen glove, all large size. There is a copper shield down here. There's various creatures' skeletons. I'm sure we could look up who these people are. Also a silver coin. I think I'll take that as a keepsake. Our friend here seems to be rather upset at the death around us. If you don't have any space in your hands, your character will automatically put items you pick up into your backpack, and here we go. Sebshos stands up. I cannot stand by. This might require an answer. Now is a good time for us to back up. Although, it appears that me strolling was a mistake. The end strikes at me, and although it appears that me strolling was a mistake, if I was moving faster, my character would have been able to get out of the way quicker. A flying bronze arrow strikes the convex nose bridge. Let me try this again. The flying bronze arrow strikes the convex nose bridge Eton in the left lower leg. So the game takes one of their descriptors and puts it in front of their name as an identifier, right? The convex nose bridge Eton. That is a funny sentence. Tearing the muscle and bruising the bone. The force bends the knee. And the convex nose bridge says, "It is I that felled Nagzerung. Dread clutches the goblin. Gruesome wounds beyond fear." Okay, so two things. First off, there's somebody standing in the way of me. Second thing, I'm lying down. So I'm going to set this to a fast crawl so that when I'm walking again, it's moving faster. And I'm going to move forward one tile, or try to anyway. Our friendlies are diving in directly. The Eton, in fact, strikes at our friend's shield here, but the shot was blocked. Sebsos bashes them and gets a decent hit in, and with his Iron Morning Star, and the Eton says, "I've improved my wrestling." So let's take a peek at this Eton. He's an adequate shield user and an adequate armor user. Isn't armed with any weapons, which is good, meaning it'll be easy for us to get bleeding blows in. If I stand up, that uses another turn, but gives us the opportunity to get better hits. We're gonna hit the combat button down here, and see what our options are. Now, of course, if I wanted to be a traitorous, horrible creature, I could attack our allies. But I think we're gonna work together on this and go for the Eton. So, he is currently recovering from attacking our friend, and we're gonna see if we can get a decent hit in. As I scroll down, I don't see any attacks of opportunity, but there are some tricky strikes that we could potentially do quite well with. We've got some fairly solid strikes, and, some tricky strikes that can't quite connect. We're gonna go for the lower body, and I'm just going to try and lash him. It appears that I've completely missed, and that's totally fine. The convex nose bridge Eton grabs Mengdu, that's our friend here, by the right lower arm, and apparently throws him. So he's currently in midair, and our friends are stacking up, which is a little exciting always. Our friend here is actually getting some decent hits in, and we're now occupying the same tile as him. He's smacking him in the head with his Morning Star, which is pretty good. In fact, he's hit him hard enough that the Morning Star is firmly lodged in the wound. If we look at the Eton again, we can see that he's tired and bleeding heavily. We also know that our friend here is backed up, meaning we probably can get a pretty good hit in on this Eton right now. See, we can get a lower body strike that's very square, which is really good. But let's scroll down and look for attacks of opportunity. No exclamation points. Okay, let's hit him in the lower body. And we're going to go for a heavy lash in the lower body. You lash the convex nose bridge Eton in the lower body with your silver whip, bruising the muscle and bruising the guts. And it seems to have made him feel sick. Let's see if we gave him some nausea. Nausea is a very good thing to get onto your enemy. There's also an iron puzzle box back here, as well as a nice rope reed bag. Man, it's a shame we don't have a mount right now. Maybe we'll have to find one and come back, gather up the rest of this. See if I can get another hit in on him. Can get some very square hits again on the upper body, which is really good. No attacks of opportunity, unfortunately. But I can go for a good whip. So let's see what we can get. Seems like he's broken the... We lash the convex nose Eton in the upper body with a silver whip, bruising the muscle and bruising the left lung. It's having trouble breathing, which is exactly what we want. We want to tire it out, knock it over, and get some good hits in. And that'll do enough damage that it won't be able to injure us again. I'm actually seeing an attack of opportunity in here, finally. Scrolling down, there's no others, so let's see exactly what this is. It's probably going to tell me to bite him. No, punch him, actually. We can get a simple strike, and I'm going to make this into a heavy strike on the hand. So I punch him in the hand. You punch the Eton in the left hand with your right hand, bruising the muscle, and he misses us twice, and Shebsos, our friend here, is bashing it continually. If we view our ally here, our ally is stunned from being thrown, and our other ally hasn't even entered the fight yet. So I'm going to actually try to dodge. Let's see if we get the option to do that. So because I'm an adequate dodger, I'm actually going to dodge northwest, which is going to put us up on above the Eton, so that our friends can move in and start getting some hits in as well. Because we have to let them pass at some point. The Eton says, I have improved my fighting, that was satisfying. I can actually start a conversation with it and brag about my past violent acts. Maybe we'll learn its name specifically. My friends are beginning to beat the Eton, and I say, I have taken down one ostrich while stalking in the new desert. I mean, we've done cooler things than that, man. But like, if that's what she would like to brag about, that is what she feels proud about. And you know what? I respect it. Let's open up the combat menu again and continue fighting. I can get an attack of opportunity in on her cheek by kicking her. And we kicked her in the left cheek, which bruised the skin and bends the left head. They tried to grab me, but didn't get super far with that. We could go for their arm, or we could go for the lower body. The arm is an easier strike, but it's not as square. While there's no great attacks of opportunity, I could go for its toe, which might actually make it fall over. Let's see what the option is. They want me to kick it? I think I'm actually going to not go for the attack of opportunity here. I think instead I'm going to go for the very square normal strike on the lower body. I'm going to set it to a heavy attack and, well, maybe not a heavy attack. Let's go for a quick attack. We're going to lash him in the lower body. You lash him in the lower body, bruising the muscle and bruising the spleen. Shift A opens up the combat again. And I could go for a normal strike, very square on its right attack. That I'm going to go for a heavy attack, even though it's going to be slow. You lash the convex nose bridge Eton in the right neck with the whip, bruising the muscle and tearing the upper spine in the right neck's nervous tissue. That's what you want to see. You want to get them downed, overexerted, winded. You want them to not be able to stand. You want them to be lying down, and you want to beat the crap out of them, especially when you're dealing with tall enemies like this. Because that's what gets you the consistent good hits. And, of course, the attacks of opportunity. I'm seeing one on its right foot, which requires me to punch him. I'm going to go for a heavy punch on his right foot in the toe. Hopefully this will stop him from standing. Seems like it went well. We punched him with our right hand, and our allies are still getting plenty of hits in. This is probably not a fight I would have been able to win by myself, so it's a lucky thing indeed that we have traveling companions. And that lucky arrow at the very start very much helped. We're going to lash him in the right head. Just a normal hit, nothing fancy. This one actually bruised the muscle and jammed the skull in the right head through the brain. The right head, in the right head, tearing the brain in the right head. Luckily, it has a second head. Otherwise, this would have killed it. For most creatures, getting their skull jammed through their brain, That's enough to one-shot them. But fortunately, we can get some really good hits in at the end here. Let's go for the left neck and go for a heavy strike with the whip. Our friend is also doing some decent work. Lurit now is bashing the Eton in the upper body with her bronze whip as well, bruising the muscle and bruising the right lung. Meanwhile, we're lashing them in the neck with the whip, bruising the muscle and tearing the upper spine's neck's nervous tissue. Moving up in the world quickly here, I can see, as a great group of monster hunters. Now, I do have an attack of opportunity, and it requires me to scratch him, so we'll go for it. You scratch the convex nose Eton in the left lower arm, tearing the fat and bruising the muscle. Since they still have one dead head, we're going to keep going after them, and I'm going to go for the other head. We're going to go for the left head, very square. I'm going to go for a heavy attack again, and I'm going to go back up to my whip. I realize that this is a very slow strike. We're going to whip him in the head. And we lashed him in the head, the left head, bruising the muscle and chipping the skull in the left head. The force bends the neck. I think they're going to go down pretty soon. Let's see if we can get one final hit in on their head. The left head, it's a tricky strike now, so it's not as likely to hit. We're going to set this to a fast strike and go for the head again. This bruises the fat. We're going to try and continue hitting them in the head, or we could go for the left neck, but it's a difficult strike. And this time I'm going to go for a heavy strike, which is very slow, and I think that downed him. You lash the convex nose bridge Eton in the left head with your silver whip, bruising the muscle and jamming the skull through the brain in the left head and tearing the brain in the left head. The convex nose Eton has been struck down. I'm going to shout to everybody and bypass the greeting because they know who I am. And I'm going to brag about my violent acts. I am the murderer of Onale Findersmile, the rights of gold, the spineless slug who is crushed under my might. Which is, of course, the name of that Eton. Now, I'm going to take a peek around and see what other loot we have. Well, there's a fancy bag, some gloves, some more coins, puzzle box, a toy for kids. It's kind of a dark implication there. Move down a little bit here. There's some various other things like a bucket. I'm really curious about how heavy this thing is. This instrument. I'm going to examine it in my backpack. If it's not that heavy, we'll definitely keep it. This is a grown wood lime wood nekeka. A nekeka is a small handheld cylindrical bore wooden wind instrument. The musician blows into the fipple on one end. The musician selects the pitch by pressing the keys to stop holes. The instrument has a 3-octave range, going from middle to very high pitch. The instrument has a reedy, rich timbre. Let's see how this goes. See if we can play it. Let's put away our stuff, our toys, if you will. Open up our inventory here, scroll down, remove this item, take it out. Shift P to perform. Perform some music. I only know one song, The Fragrances of Lathering. And unfortunately, I don't have an instrument that I can play this with. I don't think there is anything that I know that would allow me to play this instrument. So instead, I will simply recite a poem and put the instrument away. We'll keep it as a keepsake, as it is quite light. I think it's time to run back to town and brag about our past violent acts. Seems perfectly logical to me. Let's actually ask how our friends are feeling right now. They are all interested after watching a performance, but rather horrified after seeing our friends die, or that creature die. That being said, it was some solid training. Let's see how Lurid is doing. I'm going to greet the listener. I say thank you for all you do, and they say, it is good to see you. The servant of death greets you. Have you written a new poem? And I open up the conversation, and I ask how the listener is feeling. And they say, how fleeting life is beyond fear. So not great, I gather. I'm going to bring up a specific incident. We're going to summarize the conflict and in which you slew Onel Flyer Smile, the Rights of Gold. So I'm going to talk to them about the fight that just happened. I say, not half an hour ago, I slew Onel Flyer Smile, the Rights of Gold. And Lurid says, Onel Flyer Smile, the Rights of Gold was slain. We are saved from a dangerous enemy. You have my thanks. I think that our human traveler here is happy about this situation. We could also double check and ask this story to make sure that they remember it. And they say, we are in Tulip Quests. In the early spring of 100, the Eton O'Neill Flyer Smile, the Rights of Gold, was struck down by the goblin Bora with a silver whip in Tulip Quests. Our renown begins. Let's move south and head back down into town and see if they are slightly more positive with me this time. Heading back to the tavern that we were in earlier, we run around the front door and we start a conversation with the human lord. They say, hello, it is good to see you, praise Josie. You'll get nothing from me with your flattery. They do not like the fact that I flattered them the last time we spoke with them. That's unfortunate. But, we can bring up that conflict right down here, in which we slew O'Neill, Flyer Smile, the Rights of Gold. We told them, and they say it was inevitable. Well, really, you're not gonna flatter me over it? Come on, man, be at least somewhat positive about the fact that I just murdered a monster that's right next to your front door, and let's just make sure that you get this statement, though. We ask for directions to the place just to confirm that they remember, and they say in the early spring of the year 100, the Eton O'Neill Flyer Smile, the Rights of Gold, was struck down by the goblin Bora Learnwalk with a silver whip in Tulip Quests. Excellent. As you damn well should. Remember my story, you impatient human being. And then I will ask how the listener is feeling, and they say, how are you feeling right now? And they say, it's not a gift if you expect something in return. Well, I guess that's a bit of advice. Then it's payment, right? I'm gonna brag about my violent acts and say that I am the master of O'Neill Flyer Smile, the Rights of Gold, who sought my praise, only to be rejected in death. And then I will close this screen, say goodbye, and we're gonna perform some music badly. Shift P to perform, or click on the little singing twiddle. Once we've clicked on the singing twiddle, we are then going to click on perform music, the fragrances of lathering. And I'm going to simulate the Thad. Maybe we'll find one of these years. We begin the improvised music. Press A to continue it. And, it's a good song. We're singing it very well, definitely. Even though they're referring to it as lousy and bad. I'm making a mockery, and it's a shame-worthy performance. But it's okay. This doesn't hurt my ego. That sounds vaguely like a Daz, as they say. I don't feel anything while performing. Well, it's not a negative. We're still a novice lasher, but we need our lashing skill to go up. We also need our climbing skill to go up. So let's check the time of day. If we jump up here, we can see it's midday. So I think we are going to wait for a few hours by pressing Shift Z or clicking on the bed icon down here. We're gonna wait for 6 hours, just standing here. Then once the sun goes down, we are going to sleep until dawn. Well, that's good enough. We'll call it that. We're going to sleep for 8 hours, well, 10 hours. Now, then when we wake up, we're gonna remember to eat and drink, because we're pretending that we would need to do that, even though we are goblin. You also need to remember that your companions that you are traveling with do not need to eat or drink, regardless of what race they are. Necromancer creatures don't normally need to eat and drink anyway, and the human is, air quotes, dealing with her own food supply. So we're now gonna jump up to the overworld here and begin to move. If we check the bigger map, we can see that there's plenty of wilderness. There's also some settlements up here. In fact, there's a human hamlet and some other human hamlets along the beaches. Let's see if there's any towns that we could visit. Something a little bigger than a hamlet. Ah, there we go. There's one right in the middle. There's also another one over here, the Plagues of Charity, and one kind of in the middle, the musical, right next to the musical standard, which is a small stream. Since we have killed the creature, and the creature is now known to be dead because we bragged about it, I think our first destination should simply be the nearest forest. We've got a lot of savannas and grasslands, but we need something with trees. So let's begin heading east. Cue the epic travel music. Oh, geez, that's a bunch of elephants. Should probably be careful around those. But we're in an area now that has trees, so we can zoom out a little bit. And what we're going to do is we are going to practice climbing. Now, climbing is a very important skill for any adventurer to have, and a skill that I started with 0 points in. Climbing is very important, and the way we're going to do this is we're going to press either H on the keyboard or click on this button. This is also the button that you use to mount your animals. The higher your climbing skill, the faster you can mount your animals. I think that also goes for riding skill for animals. But what we're gonna do is we're gonna hold And then, this is going to be a very similar system to the previous training montage I did with swimming. Instead of walking back and forth across a river, I'm gonna go up and I'm gonna go down. So before we do anything, I'm gonna scroll up on the mouse wheel and we're gonna take a look at what's above us. I kinda just want a thinner tree, so maybe I'm actually going to let go of this one. Release hold. We're gonna go over to this tree. Something that I can go up and down a layer without having to worry about branches. So let's hold on to take a peek up. As you can see, we can go up one layer without worrying about branches, which is exactly what I want. And then what I can do is if I right click on it, I can fell it if I have an axe in my inventory, or I can right click on it and click hold. Of course, I could also use this screen right here. Then what we're gonna do is we're gonna move up one. I'm gonna right click and click climb to avocado tree. And we climb up. Then we're gonna climb down. So it is worth noting, while it is good to have some skill in climbing trees and knowing how the mechanics work, it's not actually going to train any skill climbing around in a tree. What we need to do is we need to find ourselves a block wall. And it appears that somebody just fired a bolt at somebody. What? I've defeated many fearsome opponents, they said. Oh, I see. There's a frail lion attacking us. Well, we should hopefully go deal with this. I'm gonna cease sneaking. And I'm starting to feel a little bit over encumbered. And, well, there goes that lion nice and quick. I'm gonna put an item in my backpack because I have something in my right hand. Apparently a branch I picked up at some point. Let's drop that branch and fast travel. Let's head over to this town and see if we can find a brick wall. Let's run up to the tavern, just slightly north of here, and see if we can begin climbing. Southeast, or just west, is the tavern, and it's this lovely brick wall. Let's see if we can grab it. And move up a layer. But I lose hold of it. Now, the reason climbing trees doesn't train climbing, but brick walls do, is they're a significantly harder surface to climb. So while any creature can climb a tree, not everything can climb a wall. Get out from underneath our friend here, and while we are climbing and training climbing, we are going to sneak. Sneaking is going to permit us to train some agility while we are doing this, which is capital S on the keyboard, or click this button down here. Hold the wall, climb down. Hold the wall, climb up. Hold the wall, climb down. Now, our allies are in the way here, which is a little bit annoying, so I'm gonna ask them to go stand in the tavern and have a good time for the evening. Start conversation. Great listener. It is good to see you, of course. I'm gonna start a conversation with Thromos Fist right here. Make a demand or issue order. Wait here. And of course, the final one, Eddie, up here. We're gonna greet them once again. They wanna make music. Well, we can do that in a second. I'm going to issue an order. Wait here. Then we're going to simply walk outside and begin training climbing. So same process as messing around in the trees. It's also worth noting you can right-click on the open space and actually say move to here, which is one level down, and say move to here, which is just the open air, and your character will just jump down. So now we've moved up to a novice climber. Let's see if we can hold onto this wall and climb it just yet. Unlikely, but it's always worth a try. Nope. Still can't quite climb up these walls just yet. That is, of course, the goal that we would like to get to, which would be being able to climb up a brick wall. Almost feels like it's getting dark out. Let's check the overworld. Oh wow, it's late at night. I think it's time for us to rest. How's our adventure doing? Oh no, we're getting drowsy. Well, that explains why we are slowing down the speed at which we are climbing. So maybe it's time to head inside and take a rest. Or, at the very least, sit right here, hit Zen on the keyboard, and rest for 8 hours. You don't want to train while you're tired because that might cause you to fall. Now, since this is one of our travelers, I think we should greet them as we stand up, stunned from just sleeping. We're going to request that they follow us again. Heading inside, we're gonna find our other adventurers. Start a conversation. I'm still not a fan of their flattery, even though they like to flatter us. I'm gonna brag about my past violent acts very loudly in the room so that others hear. And then we are going to ask them to follow us. And, where's our other friend here? Lurit? Where are you hiding? I seem to have lost an adventurer. Well, that's strange. I'm going to right-click on one of my friends here, and I'm going to ask for directions. See if they know somebody. I'm gonna ask about Lurit. She is somewhat quarrelsome, and she is also a pleasure to speak with and a baroness consort. Okay, well, you know who it is, so let's directions to Lurit, maybe. Ask for the whereabouts of Lurit. On the move or deep underground, I can't be sure, so you have no idea where she went. Well, that's unfortunate. What about this other human here who I started speaking with? I'm going to ask for directions to Lurit. Probably on the move or deep underground. Can't be sure. Well, hopefully they find us again. It would be a shame if we lost our adventurer friend by simply standing here too long and then taking a nap. Maybe she went off on a quest of her own, trying to find that wolf. Well, let's find out. Let's rest for a while. We're gonna wait for 3 hours for our friend to return to us. Hey, no luck. Well, that's a shame. I shall instead simply stand here in the middle of the room and shout to everybody. Greet the listeners by introducing myself. My name is Bora Learnwalk. Oh, hello. Praise be to Esma, servant menaces. The subordinate, they say. And I'm going to brag about my violent acts. I am the slayer of O'Neill Firesmile, the rights of gold. I buried alive under a mountain of hatred. And I'm going to continue shouting as a person actually begins speaking back to me. And this human monk says, hello, I am Disto Yurt Tips. Praise be to Esma. And I will ask how the listener is feeling. And they say that they feel fine. I'm going to continue shouting. I will brag about my friend Lurit. The time that somebody demanded that my friends submit. And they say that it was for the best. I'm going to ask for the whereabouts of the human if they happen to know. Probably on the move or deep underground. They must have gone to seek the wolf. You know, we are adequate now, which has improved our climbing skill quite considerably, but we're still not great at it. Quite easy to do this. Look at this. Oh my gosh. Well, aside from losing hold, I did actually climb up. Let's try this one more time. Move out from underneath my friend, stand back up, hold, climb up. Ah. Well, we are making progress. I can say that much. So that much is good. Try one final time. Climb. Ah. Such a shame. I did fall back down and get stunned that time. Let's try it over here. Hold. Climb. Ah. Look at this. Well, aside from me almost taking damage there, I think I did actually take some damage there. Your right lower leg takes the full force of the impact deflected by my copper greaves. Be careful climbing walls when you're not super good at it. This is why you need to train climbing. Because if you don't, when you do need to do that and you try, and it injures you, well, it's never going to be a good time going forward. Let's see if we can climb west and hold block actions, hold actions. Okay, there you go. Just make sure that when you do start falling, you do not alter actions. I'm going to climb a tiny little bit more and probably edit it out. So shoutouts to my patrons for keeping videos like this funded. This entire Let's Play is being put together into a playlist. So if you would like to keep track of the whole thing, you can do that by simply following the playlist. And of course, the saves are available for download in the description of this video from the Dwarf Fortress File Depot. As I continue to climb around the surface, circle top of this tavern, I just want to say thank you very much for watching, and I hope to see you in the next one.